Charles, and he's like, "Hey, you should use that app to make NFTs. We should have NFTs that talk. They should be based on this really cool sci-fi comic called Kiltopia, and you should join our company." And I said, "Sick." So we've been kind of aligning these two visions for a while now of real-time avatar coolness with Web3 stuff. And yeah, that's our villain origin story.
A villain and a former
Yeah.
GTA actor. Let's go. We're an XGO team.
That's right. So I guess I have to go through some you know what? I didn't have a chance, my apologies, to go through. Sorry, I'm give me 1 second
Yep. No
and
problem.
I should, you know what? In order for me to present in Discord, this is my first time presenting in Discord. My computer is asking me to quit and reopen
Okay,
the
no problem.
Discord.
Yeah,
So is that okay? You mind if I
yeah,
just hop off
yeah.
and then I'll hop in just a second? My apologies. I'll be back in just 1 second.
No worries.
Do we have any elevator music?
We have a lo-fi bot, but it's muted. But I'm not gonna call him right now.
Okay. I think I'm back in.
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Great. I just want to be able to, there we go. Now I think I can do it. Go live. Okay, you can see my screen, correct?
It's loading. Yep, I can see it.
Okay, great. I'm going to go into slideshow mode here so you can kind of see it on a little bit larger screen.
Perfect.
So just to, you can see everything. Is that, I just want to make sure. Okay, great. So I'm just going to pause here for a second and just unpack very briefly what it is that we're building so that everybody understands this to you know, as much as I can explain it. So basically what we're doing is we're building a 3D animation and a digital asset studio from the ground up on real-time technologies, agile principles, and then Web3 protocols. So we're doing that because we're really dedicated to helping the global kind of obsessive fan market, what we call otaku. We're really trying to help them immerse themselves in their favorite worlds by merging these open source virtual production and interactive experience pipelines. That's really what we're doing. And that allows us to basically create these unified story worlds where we can shoot filmed content virtually in game engines, and then we can deploy those 3D assets across game platforms while giving our community the tools to basically do the same thing. That's kind of over the long haul. So you can kind of think of Voltaku. Somebody on Discord said, "God, it sounds like you guys are full stack storytellers," and it's like, actually, that's a great moniker. So it's like we're full stack storytelling is kind of how we think of ourselves, and so we really are reimagining what a studio is. So just to give you a little bit of a high level background, we kind of already introduced ourselves as Voltaku, the company that's kind of behind what we're doing here. And then there's the Kiltopia team. So we created a proof of concept where we were really trying to push the envelope on real-time ray tracing. So basically fully ray tracing in real time inside of a game engine, inside of Unreal Engine. So we're the first team to do that, et cetera. Anyways, the people that helped us on the proof of concept and who will potentially help us going forward on the actual TV series that we'll be creating off of Kiltopia, that's all 100% 3D in-game engine, virtual production, worked on all of these great, amazing titles, including Sally, who was one of the developers on the award-winning virtual production pipeline for The Lion King, and was the lead UX developer on that. And so what problem are we essentially trying to solve in Hollywood? We could also attack this from kind of a Web3 standpoint in terms of the problem, what we're really trying to solve, which is true utility and interoperability for avatars, creating really high-end premium 3D avatars. That's really where we're heading with all of this. But from the Hollywood standpoint, what we're doing is we're basically, there are three huge major problems. Studios basically act as centralized gatekeepers. That's number one. Number two, video content is inherently passive. You just watch it and then what happens after that? Nothing really. And then finally, number three is in Hollywood, they basically focus everything on the product, which is the movie or the TV series, not the actual consumer or the audience. And those three things, basically what happens there is it's created this $20 billion white space in audience white space in Hollywood that we call otaku. These are your obsessive fans, your cosplayers, your Comic-Coners, etc. And they're really hungry to both engage and build with their favorite creators and each other. And that's our overarching mission at Voltaku. So what is our solution? Well, our solution is basically to build an open studio platform in Web3 from the ground up. Like I said, we're going to do that building in Web3. We're building with game engines. So we're merging virtual production and interactive experience pipelines to create what we call these living stories. And then finally, we're developing open source tools to help other real-time creators build. And that's really going to help us leverage our Web3 network effects going forward. So what does this kind of look like? Well, basically, if you build a new type of studio from the ground up in game engines, you don't have to be a game company. You don't have to build a game. You can actually do a bunch of other things. So what we noticed about the otaku audience, essentially, is these are your people. First of all, they're motivated by genre. They're not necessarily motivated by one single IP, which makes them kind of like a horror audience, right? If horror fans of horror films will see pretty much every horror film that comes out. They're not just going to stick to one, series of movies. And that makes them pretty sticky. And what we notice about their behavior is they tend to dress up as their favorite anime characters or whatever, and then they take those, the dress up and take it into different realms and different worlds and, whatever it is in the real world, right? And so it's like, well, how can we actually incentivize that behavior in the digital space? And so what we're doing is this is where we're merging kind of virtual asset pipelines and virtual production pipelines. So what we're doing is we're creating these 3D assets once in engine, and then we're deploying them across platforms to create avatars, digital goods, etc. But we're also creating filmed content, all in 100% 3D animation. And then as we're doing that, as we're building that, all the tools and all the pipelines are essentially open source, and Sally can walk through a lot of that with you as she presents. So what does a kind of a flywheel look like for us? Basically, if you start up in the interactive side up there in the upper left-hand corner, and you say, okay, so we have NFTs that are avatars, digital goods, etc., and token revenue. Potentially, this is something we're looking at, and we can unpack this as we go along, because I think there's an opportunity to build something much more robust than simply creating some NFTs. Those are going to help fund the cost of production for our live action or for virtual production long format content. What we can then do is license that completed content to Hollywood distributors. We don't have to sell it to them. We just license it to them, which gives us a lot more economic upside. And then what that allows us to do basically is once that's in the hands of Hollywood and those distributors, all that's doing is getting more eyeballs on what we're doing and basically allowing us to increase our Web3 network effects and getting more people to come back over into Web3. Also, when we're creating our long format content like a movie or a TV series, again, we're doing all of that in game engines, which means we're just a big, massive digital asset generator. Like a factory. So why are we doing this? Well, it's basically going after the obsessive fan market. Like I said before, and this is the key reason why we're doing this, and to me, the most important thing, there is no company in Hollywood that is dedicated to creating content for the global otaku market. There is not one. There are distributors like Crunchyroll who take anime from Japan and distribute it, but there is no dedicated company in Hollywood to creating content. That's us. That's basically why we're doing this. And there are a lot of reasons why that's the case. But anyways, we estimate it to be a $20 billion global fandom or market. I think there's a pretty large opportunity. Again, these numbers, when you're trying to calculate this, just take this with, we did our best with our assumptions, but just FYI. Very confident about that CAGR, though. It's growing at about 23% year over year. And that's kind of where we're at. So what have we done thus far, and where are we heading with this? Well, basically our roadmap. Voltaku was born in about in 2020. We optioned the rights to this award-winning graphic novel, Kiltopia. So we have the rights across the board to build whatever we want with it, except for another graphic novel. We attached Philip Gillette, who's the writer basically of Love, Death, and Robots, to help us with Kiltopia and bring that kind of out there in the open. We received an Epic Mega Grant from Epic Games to build an Unreal Engine, $100,000 Epic Mega Grant. We partnered with companies like NVIDIA and Chaos and Lenovo and Foundry, et cetera, to really help us push the envelope on our real-time ray tracing capabilities. Then we began production on our proof of concept in 2021, 2022. That's Sally. We acquired our kind of VTubing software. And then we showcased our real-time ray tracing solutions at NVIDIA GTC in 2022, just last month actually. And then really what we're doing right now is we joined Autodesk, their Technology Centers Outside Network residency program. It's a 1-year residency program to build our UAD system, which is our Universal Avatar Descriptor System, which is a pretty big deal. And Sally will talk about that in a bit. And then we're right now just dusting off our final part of the proof of concept, and we're going to be putting that out there. Then we're going into our NFT drops, and this is essentially where we're making kind of migrating now to the NFT world and what we're doing here. So we're taking all of these characters from the graphic novel and starting to push our tech stack and really tether the IP to the digital asset realm and NFTs. So we're starting off with 2D Kiltopia NFT avatars that have these VTubing capabilities. That's something we already have that capability. It's not something we need to build. We've created our own open source pipeline tools. And then we're going to move into our 3D section, all tethered to Kiltopia and what we're doing there. So we have another drop that's going to be 3D assets, and then we really build our 3D avatars, which are going to be fully rigged that you'll be able to take across different gaming platforms. So that's it on my side. I will leave it there. Obviously, if you have any questions, I'm going to let Sally just walk you through what we're doing, so that you have a better sense on that side of things. And I think I'm still here. If I can try and
as you said,
there, I should stop streaming now, and I'll shut up.
No, super interesting presentation. Thank you for that. We don't have the chance to see project coming with prepare as yourself. So this is nice to see. And yeah, let Sally continue.
Great.
Okay, it's time for some tech demos. Woo!
Let's go.
So let me share my screen here. I'm gonna share the entire screen like a maverick.
Yep.
That way I don't have to keep.
Because
So hopefully nothing too sketchy.
sketchy or secret.
Ooh, well, we're an open source studio, so we don't have too many secrets. Okay, let's go screen one. So, here we go. This is face reveal.
Yep.
So this is through several layers of shit internet, so you'll have to forgive the lag. But this is our demonstration of like VTubing software. This is one of our NFT templates for our male figures. And as you can see, they can be very expressive, and they have, all kinds of like ways they can open their mouth and eye, and like it tracks really well. It does saccades.
Every time I see VTuber.
Thanks. So that's kind of the long and short of it. We implemented tongue out too. But yeah, since we wrote this software, we're able to stay current with like ARKit as they publish new tracking parameters and stuff like that. So that's pretty great. And that's a software that's currently on iOS, and we're going to be pushing this out to all platforms. We want to do PC, Mac, and Android as well. So that's a great way to make TikToks and do cool stuff. What else do we have for you? Not that. Here we have, this is open source avatar maker software written in Python for PyQt. We chose Python because we want to be able to tie into other pipelines really easily. Like Python's low lift, and it can be compatible with like Maya and Blender and Nuke and all kinds of tools that professionals are using to make these kinds of media. So we're excited about that. This uh, is is pretty cool. Also, a sneak peek of what some of our gals from the collection are looking like. And all of these are designed in a way that's easy to animate. So like these hair layers are constructed specifically to be able to move with physics dynamics using that 2D animation software, which is outstanding. What you're seeing here is just a representation of, PNGs on disk. So these are all just, you're familiar with how these things are constructed.
Yep.
These are just the various layers, and this software also allows you to specify all kinds of tint palettes, nickname them, copy paste them between apps, and most importantly, the rules, so that you can specify things like, hey, don't wear this necklace with these t-shirts or which have you. And these dynamic rules are specified in a way that allows us to kind of really curate what ultimately we want the collection to look like, which has been so useful. And we've got a couple different kinds, like you can select traits or palettes and then have them drive stuff like, some of these will like turn off entire layers or, make sure that some combinations are illegal. And then we have our collection browser as well, which is just a really handy way to kind of do analytics on the collection, see what kind of rarities we ended up with, make sure everything's as predicted. Or if you want to make a little change or something, then you can load these back up in the constructor and do some tweaks, which has been really great. And we're looking forward to releasing that along with the collection. But what beyond just the sheer altruism of giving back to the community and not having to pay for expensive licenses to use third-party services to make these kinds of things ourselves, we're also excited because this app, if it gets some traction, is a great way to introduce our universal avatar descriptor concept, which is a sort of JSON type file, like a high-level human-readable file that we want to start shipping with NFTs, or like have NFTs point to this kind of metadata so that we can have interoperability between collections.
Okay.
And what I
Someone,
mean by,
someone going to?
sorry, what was that?
No, GK, we can hear
Yeah,
you. The
the
mic is.
thing is at 3:30.
I don't have the power. GK, bro.
Oh no.
Okay.
My grandma said she was talking to Blair
just gonna
yesterday, and
range.
Blair started talking about she's looking for places
There you go.
for in-laws.
Well, I
She
muted
said she's
him. I don't
looking
know if
for a
it worked
place for
for
her and Lawrence.
everyone else.
Yeah.
So
I
I'll just,
muted him.
okay, great. Yeah, so, okay, let me see. Where was I? Oh, yeah, so the Universal Avatar Descriptor file is this high-level informational file that we want to ship along with these NFTs that say things like, lavender t-shirt, mohawk, bun, glasses, just basic stuff so that other collections can run that through their avatar makers. And if they don't have an avatar maker, they can use ours. It's
Yep.
really easy to retrofit it onto any project. And that will allow us to do cool things like this so that, you can see how your NFT might manifest within another collection so that I could like port in my BFF gal here as a Kiltopia NFT and see what that looks like, which would be great. So we'd love to have that kind of interoperability for like these PFP projects that are out there, or more ambitiously, as 3D NFTs start to manifest and become more popular, we want to be able to do the same. We want to be able to have our avatars populate with a sort of style transfer almost, which is all, it's a very low lift from a technical perspective. It's just about socializing this technology and making it available, which is something we're excited to try to achieve. And as part of that, we've joined up with Autodesk for their outsite network residency. So we've got 1 year to tap into their network of mentors and brilliant people who can help us with this file type and, try stuff out with us and help us kind of market that message once we've got something we really like. So that's probably the last piece of technology we're excited about for the moment. So Yeah, concluded tech demo.
Nice. Also, so like maybe you could talk about like the partnership you have with like the big tech company already you're working with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so basically, when we talk about a partnership, that can mean a billion different
Yeah.
billion different things. So I want to be very, very, transparent about what that actually means in the real world. So basically, we're a minnow, and NVIDIA is massive. So a partnership in that sense is not exactly, I suppose, accurate in a normal way, or normal way to talk about it. But basically what it is they're helping us with cost displacement. So they're helping us with GPUs, with Lenovo is helping us with actual computers and hardware and all of that. And then they're also like Chaos, for instance, which we partnered with to be, like I said, we're the first team to fully ray trace in real time inside of Unreal Engine. That gets a little into the weeds on the technical side. Happy to unpack that if anybody has any questions to what that actually means. It's kind of a big deal. So like Chaos and NVIDIA and Lenovo are going to help us on the marketing and PR side as well to really kind of get that message out. That's going to happen here pretty soon. So that's kind of what that means on that side for most of those bigger partnerships, or relationships maybe is a better word on that
Yep.
side of things.
I mean, if those
And
great companies like pay attention to you and like supporting you, that means something.
yeah, no, it does, and it's just paying the wave. And look, we have very close relationships. I'll just say this: where our confidence lies in terms of what we know we're able to execute on is on the creative side of Hollywood. So, for instance, we do actually have a partnership with Circle of Confusion, which is the production company behind The Walking Dead. They're the talent management firm behind like the Wachowskis, a bunch of others, etc. So on the creative side of Hollywood, we're really good, and on the tech side, the real-time tech side of things. So we have very close relationships with Epic Games, with Unity, with NVIDIA, with just kind of across the board on that side of things as well. So that's kind of where we're at on that front. Obviously, we have the 1-year residency as well at Autodesk, which is pretty big deal. Just in terms of being able to do that and tap their resources, including their things like their actual sites and hardware, et cetera.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, it's something I didn't mention like to the clan here. So Voltaku is currently in the process of building, so there's no, for their NFT part, there's not yet like a number of NFT, like the price, anything. But since we found the project early, and I think it's going to be a quality one, I wanted like to be sure we have them since the beginning, and we probably are gonna have like another AMA when those numbers are out and like the progress they made in the future, so to make clear for everyone.
Yeah, and just to be clear on that front, so the this is in some ways this is a loose analogy, but it's kind of like we are, Voltaku is to Kiltopia what Pixel Vault is to Punk's Comics, or what Artifact is to Clone X, or something like that, right? So Kiltopia is our drop, and we're creating not just the NFTs. So the kind of gets into the lore of Kiltopia, but what we're creating, our NFTs, are kind of like these citizens within the world of Kiltopia. They're called the Kashiro 23, which is this underground hacker group within Kiltopia. We're creating 10,101, so 101010 of these avatars. All of them obviously will have the VTubing capability. Sally can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we're very close to being finished with all the assets and the art. So that's going to be done pretty soon. We're working with Genetic Chain on that front to help us build out kind of on the NFT side of things, and kind of the back end and wallet integration, et cetera, to help us there. Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to have standard site, so kiltopia.xyz. Right now it's just punting back to the Voltaku website, but that will be its own website. We'll also have our own Twitter, kiltopia.xyz. It's been up there for a little while. We just haven't we want to kind of get all our ducks lined up in a row before we start hitting the marketing and doing that. So we have a Kiltopia XYZ Twitter handle that's already there. We just haven't put anything there yet. We only have like 8 followers on that, so we're it's like us and friends. So we're going to be doing that. We should have a much better view of things in terms of like the timeline. In the next 2 to 4 weeks is when I would say that we'll be at a point where we can probably have a conversation about like mint and time, when drop and all of that sort of stuff, and what whitelisting is going to look like, et cetera, et cetera.
Sweet. Do you guys have any question here, listening, like agents listening to the AMA? Like as I said, that was like a clean and neat presentation. So from what you presented to us right now, I'm satisfied, and I don't have any question. I don't know if other people have. I see Paul typing, or you can ask them directly, guys, since we're in the boardroom.
Yeah. Feel free to reach out with any questions. I know virtual production, that term has been floated around a lot. If you have any questions about what that means, it's something that is used in Hollywood quite a bit, but a lot of people in Hollywood don't even really understand it. So just think about virtual production as a way of creating content virtually, like a film or a TV series, virtually in a game engine. So it's like what was used in The Lion King in 2019 or Avatar is virtual production. So that's kind of what we're doing. So on the studio side and our content, it's going to look pretty good. I mean, it's very high quality, very premium content that we're creating on that side. So you think of virtual production as basically living in between the game world and the film world.
Okay, nice. Paul asking, can AMA members maybe get a whitelist for the future? The project seems dope.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's something that we're gonna, I talked about licensing the finished, series to like a Netflix or whatever the case may be. But, this is something in Hollywood, there's a thing called windowing, right? And so we could potentially do something like after we're finished, there's a 2-week window or something like that where only community members have access to it. And then it goes to,
public,
a Netflix or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Which is a little different, like Stoner Cats, everything's kind of like only the community has access to watching it, is at least the idea. So we actually want to get it out there to as many eyeballs so that we can get more people to build the community and really kind of bring the global otaku market into Web3.
Perfect. Full fat, I mean, all of the show I love, person of interest. Law and Order, CI numbers. I think it's more like a dedication for you.
Or were you looking at the IMDb or something? Is that?
Yeah, he said yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
All right, I guess we can wrap it up since I don't see any question from other people right now. Kev's typing. I see you, Kev, all the time.
Yeah, so I see somebody asking a question, can AMA members maybe get a whitelist? So yeah, I mean, this is kind of for sure where we're heading with this in terms of, we're working with Genetic Chain and obviously we'd be very interested in working, closely with Syndicate. So I think that it would make a lot of sense to have a whitelist for that. Again, though, we're not quite there. We're still like in building mode, and then we're going to turn the corner and really kind of piece together the whitelist strategy and all of that. So stay tuned. Like I said, within 2 weeks-ish, 4 weeks, something like that. Right in that range.
But be assured, Paul, I took a screenshot of who attended this first AMA with Voltaku. And I'll try to do my best to have you something.
Outstanding. Well, thanks so much for having us.
And
This
thank you
was
for being there.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yep. Likewise. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And like we said, and Adam Boy said, feel free to reach out anytime, DM us directly with any questions whatsoever. Mi casa y su casa. So, you know.
Yeah, and I also like, as those usual guys in the announcement, class announcements, I've posted their Discord, website, Twitter. Make sure to go over there, say hi. And yeah, if you have a question, ask them directly in their Discord. So I think we're lucky to have found them early. So make sure to make great use of that, agents. And once again, thank you for being there, and we'll keep in touch, I guess.
Yay.
Great. Sounds good. Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
everybody. Bye.